Hi Flosstube friends, it's Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher, both here on YouTube and on Instagram, and my channel is about cross stitching, and I'm glad you joined me today. First of all, I made you a Valentine. Happy Valentine's Day. So if you don't get another Valentine, you can't say you didn't get one because I made one for you. And Valentine's Day is this Sunday. It's also our daughter's birthday. So we don't do a lot of Valentines around here because we do birthday stuff around here. But happy Valentine's Day to you. And thank you for all your nice comments on my last Flosstube number 8, where I shared my craft room and my floss cabinet. It was fun to share that with you guys. I know it's a very eclectic space, but I have fun working down there, and it was fun to share that with you. So thanks for your kind comments. And speaking of Valentine's Day in my craft room, a lot of you commented on or emailed me about the wooden hearts that I have down in that space. So I thought I'd show you those. This is one of them that I have. It's huge, isn't it? So my friend Karen, who is the Karen from Cross-Eyed Cricket, Karen Highslip designer that I used to stitch models for, she had a gift shop in her hometown in Nebraska. Her hometown, or was it in Omaha? This was back in the 80s, and there was a man who carved these wooden hearts, hand-carved wooden hearts. There's a couple more back there hanging by your Valentine and off of the lamp. And we used to order them not in bulk, but several of us in St. Louis loved these hearts once Karen showed them to us. And so he did all sizes. Of course, they're hand carved, so everyone was different. I remember those little hearts back there were like $8, and I think this one was like $25, which was a lot of money to us at the time. But I loved these so much. I think I have maybe 3 of these big ones and several of the small ones. He also made them in white, which was really cool. I guess I didn't get a white one. But I loved it, and I loved the stain he put on it. I even signed up and took a wood carving class because I thought they were the coolest and I wanted to learn to make them. And my husband, who's a woodworker, he couldn't figure out exactly the kind of stain, but this is, so what is that, 30 years old? 35 years old? And it still looks brand new. Look at that. I don't know what he did. I've never seen any like it. I sure would love to find it. Before I started this Flosstube, I actually Googled on Etsy, hand-carved wooden hearts. And there are a lot of wooden bowls, heart-shaped bowls, and just smooth hearts. But I just love how, it just looks hand-carved. You can see all the different planes on there. I just love it. Anyway, if you know who this guy is from Nebraska, I'm sure he's not any longer with us because he was an older gentleman, but if you have any outlets for these hand-carved hearts, I would love to know about them because I just love them. Okay, so today I have my 2 Hawk Run Hollow pieces framed that I want to share with you. I have a lot of little finishes, fully finishes. I have progress on 2 of my big projects, so let's jump right in. I'm going to follow my list. Okay, first of all, last time, the question of the day was blah. Okay, I don't like edit these, so I'm just going to go with it when I stumble over my words. The question of the day was, do you do a New Year's resolution, or do you do a word of the year, or do you do any of that kind of thing? So I kind of wonder if resolutions are a thing of the past because most of you don't do resolutions. Some of you do goals for the year, and some of you do words of the year. And I was thinking about that. Resolutions to me seems bossy, like you must do this, or I resolve to do that. And whereas goals or words of the year seem more encouraging, and I don't like to be told what to do, so I don't like resolutions either. And resolutions seem more like a have to kind of a thing, whereas goals or words of the year seem more like a want to or a get to. And it makes a big change in your attitude if you feel like I have to go for a walk today. Or if you tell yourself, I get to go for a walk today. And it's just a little trick in your brain But doesn't it sound a lot more appealing when you say, I get to go for a walk today? That's something that you look forward to versus, I have to go for a walk today, you know? So have to versus get to, I think, is important in my mind anyway. Patricia says she sets 30-day challenges. I thought this was brilliant. She spends 20 minutes a day on whatever that particular month's challenge is. So if it's organizing your kitchen, she spends 20 minutes every day during those 30 days doing that. It might be going through old books to donate to Goodwill. She spends 20 minutes a day doing that. She says she's never done it for her cross-stitching because that seems like it would be cheating to say that she gets to do that, although I'm sure she does do that 20 minutes a day. So Allison talked about monthly goals, especially during quarantine. She said that having some monthly goal helps her see that she's actually accomplished things that month. And I thought that was a good idea too. And it reminded me of when our kids were little, our son and daughter, we had something called Adventure Club in the summers. And this came about because every summer we'd say, we lived in St. Louis, so we'd say, well, we want to go to the zoo, we want to go to Grant's Farm, we want to go to Merrimack Caverns, we want to do this, we want to check out that. And then all of a sudden it would be the end of the summer and maybe we did one of those things. And we're like, feeling like the summer just flew by, which summers fly by anyways. And so we started Adventure Club where once a week we would do an adventure and we'd usually invite different friends with us week to week. And then I made an album, our Adventure Club album, showing a double page or sometimes more than a double page spread of all of the things that we did that particular week. So at the end of the summer, we had a whole album full of all of these adventures that we had taken, and instead of saying, oh, we meant to do that this summer, we had a whole book showing that we did do that this summer. And scheduling it was really important because that kept us accountable. And I think that's kind of the philosophy behind having calendars where you keep track of your stitching. I know a lot of you are using those needle press calendars, which are gorgeous, and I've done that in past years. I decided for me that having one book with all of my information in it, patterns and fabric count and all of those things, would be better than having a lot of years worth of calendars that I had to go through. So I used this book, which colors, how appropriate, and then I just write in all of my, I just started it last year, but all of my projects, what the fabric is, any changes I made to the floss, and I love having it all in here. I'm so amazed at the people like Brenda and Laura. Brenda will look at a fabric and she'll say, oh, that's doubloon, or that's vintage metal rue, and I look at that and think, I have no idea what that is. I wonder if I'll ever get to a point where I'll be able to look at fabrics and know exactly what that is, which would be super helpful. Carol Saltbox Stitcher does the same thing. She'll be showing an older piece and she'll remember what that fabric is. I'm not good at that, so I keep track of it in this. And I have these. This is Cavallini notebooks. I love their notebooks. We sell them at our yarn shop. I can link that below. I'm going to try and be better about linking things below because that just saves you from having to email and track me down, and so I'm going to try and get better about that. And then the other thing I do is every year, and this is school calendar, like it starts in August, but then it goes to the following December. So I get this at Hobby Lobby. I like it because it's spiral bound and I can open it up, and this is where I do all of my business planning. But I also do all of keep track of my stitching in here. And you can add stickers to it, so I keep track of my stitching on the one side under the stitching calendar. This is for April of 2021, so we haven't gotten there yet. And I don't use it as the day-to-day, I don't fill in, let me show you. I do fill in the month to month. I don't fill in the everyday things like this. I just use that as planning pages and regular, like it was notebook paper to me. So I don't pay attention to what the day is, but I will keep track of brainstorming for the business, brainstorming patterns that I want to do with stitching, brainstorming knitting patterns I want to do. I just use it like regular paper, and then it's all in this one book. And so that's how I keep track of all of my projects. Okay, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but anyway, accountability I think is good. Keeping track of what you do is good, so you can look back and really know that you've made progress, whether it's in your monthly goals or whether it's in your stitching or any other hobbies you have. It's fun to kind of keep track of that. All right, so let's on to stitching. My plan was, and I did pretty good, my plan was to work on the G. Leger sampler, work on my Smith sampler, and do my past Word of the Year pillows. So let me share with you what I got done. So G. Leger, I'm using silks from the attic, and this is one of those patterns where I said I was in the mood for bright, happy, beautiful colors, and this has such pretty colors. And I did not bring the silks in, but you'll see them on my pattern. So last time I had this bottom row of alphabet, I had the pear done, and the cross, I believe. That's what I had done. So I worked on the house, and I'm telling you what, that house took a long time. There's a lot of confetti stitches in there, not necessarily confetti, which I think of confetti as being, you know, one here and one there, but there's a lot of twosies, threesies in there for sure, and all of those trees, and so it was fun to work on, but it took longer than I was expecting it to take. And here's the thing I've discovered. This is why it's good to try different patterns, I think, to see what you really like to do. What I've discovered about myself is I don't like light coverage. I know a lot of you love light coverage and that primitive look, and I do love the primitive look, but I like bolder colors. And this is done on 36 count. Forgot to look up what the fabric is. Winter Morn, maybe? So I'm doing 1/2 on 36 count. And it's just light. I'm going to stand up and show you this house up close because it's just not as heavy of a coverage as I generally like. And I see too much white in there. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's going to be beautiful, and I'm going to love having it done, and I love having it framed, but I've learned about myself. I like the coverage that I get on 40 count. I haven't tried 46 count yet, but I've bought some. And most especially, I love 25 count Lugano 1/1 because the coverage there is just what I'm looking for. And size-wise, I love stitching on the smaller counts. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about that in a little bit. And then I worked on Smith sampler. And what I had done before was the bottom row. Can you see that? Yes. What I did this time was the border, and then I redid the border because there's a little difference in the top. Okay, let me just show you what I have. So I had that bottom part done, and I did the rest of the border, and I did the lines separating, and I'm just going to zero in on that border because it's so pretty the way the different colors fill in on the triangles. But in that top row, the very middle triangle is a different size. So if you're tootling along and you know the count because you've been doing it the whole cotton picking way around, you will get to a point over here, nope, over here, where it does not match up. It was such a bummer because I did the top row. I think I came up the side and went across. And then I went back down to the bottom over here, bottom here, and went up. And do you see that nice angle in the corner right here? It did not angle. It was one off. And I tried to fudge it because first of all, I didn't know where I was off. I tried to fudge. It looked terrible, of course. And I just couldn't even imagine going back through the whole thing, counting everything and trying to figure out where I was off. And somehow, I think when I got to the point of filling in this little ornery triangle in the middle, and that's what I'm calling it, it's the ornery triangle, I realized I was off. So I really only had to rip out from here to here to get them to match up. But you know, I still sat there for 5 minutes thinking, do I really want to rip this out? And I'm glad I did, because it looks so much better. But so here's your warning. Don't be tootling along doing all of those triangles that are all the same size except for that very top one, because you're going to be sad and ripping out or not caring and having it be off a little bit. So every time I stitch between floss tubes, I kind of in my head have where I'm going to get on this piece, and then I'm going to set it aside so I can show it on Flosstube, and then I'm going to do this much on the next piece. And so I'm so anxious to get back to this because it has been really fun to work on, but in my mind I was going to do the border and the divider rows, and then I was going to set it aside. So I worked on this on Inauguration Day. I still remember doing these two squares, quilt squares in the top, when the president and the vice president were saying their oath of office. So that's kind of fun to remember about that piece. And I love how, you know, we've talked about it before, but I love how you can remember what you were doing or what you were thinking or things you were going through different times when you look at your pieces. So I will definitely include that in my comments in my little library card pocket on the back when I get it framed. So, but I am looking forward to getting back to this because it was kind of sad to put it away, but I had other things I kind of wanted to get onto. All right. So then the next thing I did was my Word of the Year pillows, which I talked to you about in the previous video. I had done my Word of the Year for 2020, which is renew. Well, I'm going to wait till I have two. I'll hold them up closer. So this was I didn't have it pillowed. I just had it stitched. And what I decided, because I've been doing Word of the Year for 4 years, I decided I wanted to go back and make pillows for those past years. And so I picked out just some floss colors that I liked, that I thought would be a good palette together. And I'm just going to keep these on the ring. I know I could just write them down, but I'm keeping them on the ring so that it's easy for me next year when I want to do my pillow, just to pull this ring and pull the fabric. I'm going to save that in there. This is Vintage Country Mocha, 25 count Lugana. I'm going to keep them all together so that I can just pull this out and do next year's Word of the Year. So here's my dilemma. I'm using Brenda's amazing book, which I know so many of you have ordered because you've written and told me you've ordered it. I ordered this directly from Brenda, but I think Kitten Stitcher has it on her website or has a new order coming in or something. It is just an invaluable resource. And one of you asked if there are alphabets, and there are several pages of alphabets in the back. So I took different icons from that, changed them up somewhat, or added different things. But here's my dilemma. When I was going back and doing past Words of the Year, I found myself incorporating different motifs that reflected maybe what I learned about that Word of the Year that particular year. So, you know, here's my 2019 word was joy. Well, every one of those motifs in there has meaning and reflects something about that year. And so I kind of like being able to go back and make it after the fact so that it's more of a memorial piece of, you know, boy, these things all meant something to me that year, or something I learned about the word joy, or my journey in the word joy that year. And so I really like that. So anyway, I'm going to show you up close the different ones. So this is joy and renew. And again, it was just fun to pull those together. I did not put any trim around the edge. I just let the checkerboard be the trim. And then let me hold up these two. Peace and trust. I know I feel like I'm crooked. So now I have all four. And then on the back, I always sew it all four sides. I watched Vanna's tutorial. If you have not watched Vanna's tutorial, and I'm sure you have, you'll get lots of good tips. But I like how she does her corners, and so I sew it all, and then I cut a little slit in the back, fill it. I usually use lizard litter, although I keep saying I'm going to try sawdust. And then I cut a little heart, felt heart, and do a blanket stitch on the back to cover that up. So those are my four little word of the year pillows. I love how they turned out. And this is, you would think I would learn, but I did it again on another pillow I'm going to show you. Sorry, I have something in my throat. Okay, water. First water. You'd think I would learn because I don't always put the heart on the right way. And it's just not lost on me that 2020, my word was peace, and the heart is sideways on the back. Just indicative of 2020. But it's okay. I don't care. All right, so those were little pillows I finished. And then I decided to work on heart pillows because I don't really have I don't have any Valentine stitching, I guess. You know, when I started into this cross stitching again, came back to cross stitching, I was going to do my one Hawk Run Hollow piece. And then I saw dough bowls. And I thought, well, I'm going to do the one Hawk Run Hollow piece, and then I'm going to have dough bowls of little pillows for the holidays. And I never did do the Valentines. So the first one is a cross stitch that's a free pattern that I will link below, that one of you sent me a link to. And this is from F&W Media, and they're now Golden Peak Media, but they do a lot of the craft magazines on the market. And interestingly enough, their office is right across the parking lot from my yarn shop, the Loopy U. So they've always been they've been in Loveland and Fort Collins, and we share a parking lot with them. So, but it's a free pattern, and they did this as a front and a back. I just did the front, and since it's free, I'm going to show you. So this is the one I did, and then there's also this one for the back, which I thought I might do as a separate one. I do like that. Here's what I'm not going to do anymore. I'm not going to do heart-shaped pillows because I did not enjoy that pillow finishing at all. So here's the little heart that I did. And I did decide, you know, I showed him in a previous thing, the owl. What's that owl called? Stacy Nash's, you know how she does all her animals, and one is an owl head, and it turned out so well. I've made it twice, and all I did was, you know, made sure that the foot on my sewing machine went right along the edge so I could get his ears. It turned out perfect, and I thought, well, how hard can a heart be? It does not look good, but it's okay. I'm going to keep it. So it's on 25 count Lugana it's on 32 count linen 1/1. And the reason I did this on linen is because I was watching Jacob, Modern Folk Embroidery, Flosstube, and he interviewed Ymir, who is Almond M&Ms on Instagram. And Ymir stitches on the tiniest of fabrics. And it's beautiful. Her work is just beautiful. And she did it, she said initially, I think she said to save space in her apartment, or you know, she doesn't have a lot of wall space. And I was just so inspired to try that. Now, you know, I love stitching 1/1 on 25 count, but I thought, well, I have all this 32 count fabric that I don't really want to use now, but I can stitch 1/1 on 32. So that was fun. I did this little thing on that, and I will just tuck that in a dough bowl. And then another freebie. This is from Stone Street Stitchworks. Isn't that beautiful? And I did this one twice. So I did this little tiny one. This is 1/1. I wonder if that focuses. Does that focus? 1/1 on 32 count. And then just for fun, I did the same thing, 2/2 on 32 count. That's not going to show very well. How can I show this better? No, I'll just stand up again. So the little one is 1/1 on 32, and the big one is 2/2 on 32. Same pattern. So anyway, I have a few littles to add to my Valentine's dough bowl. I printed out other ones. So this one, Cindy C. Stitches on Instagram did this one. Turned out adorable. I don't know, it prints 2 up when you print it out, but it's a freebie from La Di Da. So that's on my list. And then while I was over there, I also printed this from La Di Da, another freebie. And it says, "Hand and heart shall never part." And I've always loved the hand and heart symbol. So I'm going to do that one. And then while I was over on Stone Street Stitchworks, I printed that one out, which is another freebie for winter time. You know, all of the designers have free designs. I mean, we all want to support them and buy their for purchase designs for sure. But if you just need a little something, they all have a section of freebies on their websites, and it's so generous of them to share some of these really fun patterns that you can download. So I do encourage you to go look for those. And again, just Google the designer's website, and most of them have a section called freebies. So, and then because I needed more to fill in my dough bowl for Valentine's Day, I made some little woolen heart pillows. So those were fun. I just freehand the hearts. Remember how when we were in grade school, to make a heart, you would, you know, fold your paper in half, and then you would take your scissors and you would cut half of a heart. That's how I make my wool applique hearts, just freehand. So I did this. This one is a triple layer one with a little button pin, and the little tag says love. Sometimes I just go down the Tim Holtz aisle at Hobby Lobby, and there's so many fun things there. And then I made this one. So I kind of wanted them to go together, but not. A little different. And here, again, sideways heart. And then I made this red one, and this I'm going to send off to somebody. Luckily I put the heart on the right side since I'm sending that one off. So these are super fast, super easy to do, fun to just get some extra buttons and pin on there. And then I wanted to show you this one, which is actually a pattern that we used to sell at our shop when we had wool applique, but also pretty easy to do something similar. But what I love about this one is the little pins on the top. So you just take regular glass head pins and you cut out a little tiny heart, and you do a buttonhole stitch around, and then you've got those pins to pop in the top. which would also be cute in any of these, you know, to add to any of your little pillows that you make like that. So there you go, little wool applique today too, which, and I was working on these, I just miss doing wool applique, but there's just not enough time. Cross stitching, knitting, I don't have time to do wool applique most of the time, but I love it. All right, let me see where I am on my list. Okay, now I want to show you my Hawk Run Hollow pieces, which the Houses of Hawk Run Hollow is the thing that got me back into stitching. I saw this, see if I can do that without glare. I saw this on somebody's Instagram and I fell in love with it, and I thought, I know how to cross stitch. I'm going to stitch that one thing, and that's going to be really fun. And that just sent me off into now year 4 of cross stitching. So I replaced the verse. I know I read this to you before, I think in my first Flosstube probably. So if you're interested in learning more about that, but it was death verse, which was very common back then because, you know, death was very common back in the day. But I didn't really want that on here, so I looked up quotes on houses, Googled it. I had in my mind a quote that I just could not find, and I still would love to incorporate that someday into one of my pieces, and I can't even remember it. I used it in an album one time, I read it in a book. So anyways, on here I have every house where love abides and friendship is a guest is surely home, and home sweet home, for there the heart can rest. Peace and rest at length have come, all the day's long toil is past, and each heart is whispering home at last. And then in that bottom, I changed the, get closer. Whoop. All right. No. I changed that bottom square. It might have had cemetery, I'm not sure. No, I think I used a similar house. Anyways, we had 2 outdoor cats at the time that were not our cats, that thought they were our cats. They have since gone on to the big field in the sky, but I put them in there, so that was kind of fun to have them. So I love it, but good grief, look how big it is. I mean, it's huge because it was done on, and I know this, 16 count, picture this plus doubloon. So it's huge. It's going to take up a huge space in my house. And, you know, we've talked before about how this house is very open, so I don't have a lot of wall space. So this is another reason that I like small count, so that I don't have to find space for this. And then I did the same thing with Village of Hawk Run Hollow. 16 count, picture this plus doubloon. And on the village, I changed things to add in family members. This church has my grandfather's name and probably his favorite church that he pastored. But I just added all of our different names on some of the different blocks, which was fun. And then this block down here I changed because it was a cemetery, and so I made it Sherry's Quilt Shop for me, my block, and I put our cats. We do not have 4 cats, but I couldn't leave out our 4th one that we don't have anymore. We've never had 4 cats. Let me just be clear about that. We've never had 4 cats. We do have 3 cats, which is 1 or 2 cats more than my husband wishes we had, although he loves all 3 of them. But anyway, I wanted to memorialize the 3 current and then the 1 that has gone on. So let me pull this a little closer for you. Jump over the microphone. And I've had a couple of you ask me about that last square. I did not chart that, officially chart it, but I have sent close-up pictures to some of you who have asked for that, which I'm happy to do. I don't know how much you can tell from a picture close-up, but Guess it's better than nothing. So I love having these framed, and I will love putting them up. I don't know if I'm going to, I have the fabric, 16 count, for the map and the shores, and I just don't know, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I could do one more on the wall that I'm putting these two on, and I think a trio of 3 would be good if I can enjoy stitching on 16 count again. I mean, what I like about it is it's easy to stitch without my magnifying lamp. I could not do this tiny little thing 1/1 on 32 without my magnifying lamp. I use a Brightech floor lamp, and I love it, and I use it almost all the time. Like I can do probably 16 or 18 count without it, but anything bigger than that, even if I can do it, I don't want to do it. I want to like let my eyes relax and see it big. And that lamp is a godsend. I will link that lamp below too, because I don't know how people stitch without it. And I have friends who stitched back in the 80s or 90s, and they say, oh, my eyes just aren't, I just can't do it anymore. And it's just so easy with the magnifying lamp. In fact, I'm going to try and take a picture of what it looks like through the magnifying glass so you can see how big it gets. And we'll put that picture right here. So isn't that amazing? That's how you do all of these smaller counts if you would enjoy that kind of thing. But I couldn't stitch without that lamp. So anyway, all right, so let's see, plans. Well, I want to do another row on the Smith sampler. Probably one row, 1 or 2. I have a lot that I want to work on this next time, so maybe just one. I want to finish that bottom border in G Leger and maybe do another row of that alphabet letters. Maybe. I wish I was enjoying stitching on that more. I don't know. I'm going to get through it because it's a lot of work and it's going to be beautiful, but I'm going to work on smaller fabrics with better coverage in the future, I think, for me. I want to start All Creatures Great and Small. It's my birthday month. I've never done a birthday start before, but I thought it would be fun this year to do a birthday start. And I was going between With the Needle 2, Lila's Studios, which I can't wait to do, and All Creatures Great and Small by Barbara Anna. And I was going to have you guys vote, and then I was watching Lori Holt's Flosstube, and she showed her All Creatures, and right then and there I thought, well, that decides it, because it was beautiful, and I want that in my house. I've had that for at least 2 years, I think, wanting to do it, and so I'm going to start that this month for my birthday month. And here is what it looks like, even though I know you guys have seen this before. So if anybody wants to jump in and stitch along with me, let me know. It would be fun to have company doing that. I'm doing mine on 25 count potato Lugana, which is kind of a off-white cream kind of a look, 1/1 with DMC. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to sprinkle in a small here or there too. I love the big projects, but I also like mixing it up a little and having a smaller project to work on too. So I'm going to pick some small to work on. I don't know what yet, but I used to have a couple projects going at a time, and more than 2, and I just got antsy, like I hadn't finished enough, and I didn't want to have too many unfinished ones. And wow, I've really learned that I like having 3 or 4 going at a time, and maybe working a week on each one and then going to the next one. It's just fun. It's fun to have a different count to work on. It's fun to have different flosses, like if I'm working on silks and then I go back to DMC or I go to the overdyed cottons. It's just fun to swap things out. So I really have gotten better, and Flosstube, it's because of Flosstube, because I think, well, I can't work on the same thing and show you one thing. That would be a 5-minute Flosstube. And so that kind of got me in the habit of a week here and a week on this, and I really, really like that. I'm still not going to do Stitch Mania. I can't even handle having, 30 unfinished projects, but I like having a few to jump between. So that's been kind of fun. All right, I've got haul, and I've got 2 fun new gadget things that I ordered that I love. I'm going to show you those. The first one is zipper pulls. I know this is crinkly. They come in a pack of 100 for, I think, $8.99. And these are fun to put on your project bags. I use a lot of these clear project bags, which I've just collected over time. But I like having a colored project pull on there. And I also added one to my scissors. I don't know why, but just kind of fun to have a little dress up for your scissors. So I'm not sure that anybody, well, you guys might use 100 because you have lots of projects going on, right? I'm never going to use 100 of these, so I might have to tuck them into some future giveaways or something. But they're really fun. A lot of different colors, and they're plastic, but they have a little textured feel here. You're not going to be able to see it, but trust me, textured feel. And they're just nicer, so you have a little longer piece to pull on instead of just a little zipper part. So that's kind of nice. So zipper pulls, I will link those below because remember I'm getting better about linking. And then, okay, so last time and a time before that I talked to you about the magnetic cable ties, which I use for holding my fabric. And they've been wonderful, and I know a lot of you guys have found these. And so I wanted to demonstrate because I found something else that you might also want. So this is my Quaker Christmas that I have not worked on since the last one. But this is how I use those magnetic ties when there's a lot of fabric, and this is a huge piece. So there's a lot of fabric that I roll up to get it tucked in like this. And then you just take the magnetic tie, which is this long, and you snap it and it holds your fabric. So you can be working in there stitching, and it holds your fabric out of the way. And what used to happen is I would roll it up and I would hold it like this with my finger as I was working, but then if I had to tip it over and end a piece and take my hand off, then I had to re-roll the whole fabric thing and bunch it up in my hand again. So these work great when you have a good amount of fabric to put in there. Sometimes I don't have a big amount of fabric, like maybe I only have a little bit on this corner, but I have to pull the tie in so far into my, hang on, let me see if I can get this, so far into my piece to make it tight that sometimes it gets too much into my design area that I want to be working on. So I found sew tights. And they come in a pack of 5, $13.99, and they're super strong little magnets. So they have a back and a front. There are 3 magnetic strips here, or dots. They also make them in heart shapes, but I'm going to tell you for cross stitching, these are better because it holds more. It holds a longer piece. So I'm demoing it on this because here I don't have a lot that I wanted to roll up on the sides, but they hold so well even with multiple layers of fabric in between them. And again, if I was using this on this amount of fabric, I would have to go in to my design a lot farther than if I'm just tacking them down here. So that was a fun find too. I saw these on Tula Pink. She's a quilter. Those of you who are quilters know Tula. I saw them on one of her videos because she's making the special heart-shaped ones, which are adorable. And she makes them for piecing. If you're doing small English paper piecing, or You could do it on small applique pieces where you have to hold fabrics together, but you don't want to put a pin in. But I saw it and I thought, boy, that's just what I need for my smaller cross stitching. So I love the hearts, but these are more usable for me. So Sew Tights, again, I'll put that link below too. And then I have a little more haul. And then I have the giveaway from last time. So don't let me forget that. You know, yell at me if I start to forget it. Okay, so I put in an order with the Attic, and they sent me about half of it. I asked them to back order what they don't have because I definitely still want it. So I got a couple of those. Nope, just one of those in. Little Deeds sampler, which Jean and Carolyn talked about on their last video. And I also got the CC Somebody sampler. That one's back ordered, I guess. So I'm really looking forward to having some smaller samplers because I want to intermix those with the ones on my wall that are a little bigger. So I just thought this was really cute, and it looks like it'll be a quick finish. And then I ordered 2 skeins, no, they're not skeins, 2 spools of Swasserfine because I wanted, like I said, I wanted to try stitching on the smaller counts, 1/1. And when I did that, this little heart, 1/1 on 32 count, I used Silks for You silk. It was a little thick. So I'm really looking forward to trying the Swasserfine thickness on the over 1 on the 32s, and even on 36 I might try too. And then I asked them to, I knew the red that I wanted, and then I asked them to send me a good blue that was kind of like DMC 823. And so that's the blue they sent. It's perfect. They're so awesome. They're so helpful there. So I'm going to experiment with those, and I thought I might just try a few little single color patterns in small to see if I like it, to see how small I can go on some of those. Because can you imagine if I had done that Hawthorne Hollow piece on 25 count, or even if I did it on 36 count over 1, I mean, they would be so perfect, so tiny looking. When I first went to Silver Needle in Tulsa, they have a case of these small, I guess they're all pin cushions, little cushions, maybe some of them are framed. Small, done 1/1 on like 40, 46, 56 count, and they just look like the perfect little treasures. I mean, I took a picture, but you know, you just can't see how they just look like little works of art. And so that's kind of what was in my mind when I was listening to Ymir and Jacob talk on that modern folk embroidery Flosstube, which I will also link that below, so you can find that easily if you're interested in that. But I just thought that might be my thing, doing small pieces. All right. I also ordered, after I was working on my Word of the Year pillows on that Country Mocha, I had bought that from Misty at Luminous Fiber Arts, and so I messaged her, and I just said, hey, the next time you order, can you just order me a whole yard of that? Because that is like one of my new favorite fabrics. And she had just gotten a whole yard of it in and hadn't cut it yet. So I am the happy owner of a whole yard. This is half of it. And I'm showing it to you because it's not a hand-dyed fabric. It's a printed fabric. And if you're the kind of person, and I know there's a lot of you, who love the big splotches and the unplanned, you know, blops of dye in the middle of your project, and again, I know a lot of you like that, this probably isn't the one for you, but I don't like all that. I like a little bit, I like it to look like an old vintage parchment piece of a map or something. And so this fabric is printed to look like that. And the back of it is not printed. So the back is plain and the front is printed. So you can use either one. But I just like the overall look. Again, to me it looks like a piece of parchment. So if you're interested in that, contact Mindy. Misty, sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking, Misty. And I'm going to put a link to her website down below too, because she's wonderful to work with. All right, and then I went to my LNS yesterday, which is Country Crafts in Greeley, Colorado. And Sherry, her name is Sherry, is a beautiful framer. And I know some of you have contacted me asking me for framing information for her. And I don't know if she does framing that she ships out. She might, but if you're around here, she does a beautiful job if you can drop it off and pick it up. So I got 3 different patterns there yesterday. Of course, the blackbird, because buy all the blackbirds. I haven't gotten any of the other ones of these. I know I want Feliz Navidad, so I need to get that next. And then I really like Homespun Elegance. They have a Wishing Thee Merriness pattern that I haven't gotten yet, but I want to get. But this one, I love anything that has the word joy on it. So I loved that one. And then somebody showed this recently, Tomato Dame. I'm going to make that tomato more of a blue-red, not quite such an orange-red, which means I'm going to have to change the red wagon, but that's okay. But I also collect antique tomato pincushions, so I'm looking forward to doing that and keeping it with my pincushions. And then I got 2 project bags. This one from Goose, because look, it's got stitching inside. Look, there's cat hair on there. Don't look, but there's cat hair on there. You can tell I tossed this. All right, so I love this, and this is probably what I'm going to keep my Word of the Year stuff in. That's what I've been keeping it in. So that's Goose. What I like about her project bags is I like that they are a little firmer. I generally like a little firmer project bag. And then the project bag of all project bags. I'm so happy to have a Christy bag. Christy Crosshatch Quilts makes these bags from time to time. She's super busy because she's a beautiful quilter. She's a beautiful stitcher. And of course she's homeschooling or whatever people are doing during quarantine. So she's super busy. She doesn't get many of these, but oh my goodness. I mean, I'm so happy to have a Christy bag. It's a cute little scissor charm pull. I'm not going to need one of my little new plastic pulls on that. And so this is going to be, I think, my birthday project bag for my All Creatures Great and Small. But I'm so happy to have it. If you go to her Instagram, Crosshatch Quilts, she has in her profile I think the link to her bag Instagram. You won't see anything on there because she puts some pictures on there when she's got some to sell, and then when they sell, she takes the picture off. So go and join or like her page or whatever if you're interested in trying to catch one of her beautiful, gorgeous bags, and that's where you'll see it when they come up for sale. All right, I think. Okay, prize winners. So last time I had you use the word needle and I had you use the word house, or both, depending on which kit you wanted. So this was the needle kit. This was celebrating 6,000 subscribers, which is so fun. Thank you guys for subscribing. And again, thank you for leaving comments. I read every single one. I respond to all of them. I at least put a thumbs up or a heart if I can't, write something on there. But I try to write on most of them too. So this was a fun kit. That was one of the Silver Needle Friends something thing that I was in that I won't make, but it's cute. So Christy Schwisso, Christy. Sorry, I know I probably said that last name wrong. Can you see it? If you will get a hold of me, and my email address is in the comments below, I will send that off. And then this one, also kit, comes with trim, fabric, needle, floss. And this one you had to use the word house. And so this is going to Kitty Helton. So congratulations, Kitty, and congratulations, Christy. If you guys will get a hold of me in the comments below, I will get those shipped right off to you. All right, now our question of the day this time. Do you do a birthday start or a holiday start, or do you have some kind of schedule for when you do starts? I mentioned I was watching Lori Holt's Flosstube, which are wonderful. If you haven't watched her, and I'm sure you have, she's got 1 billion subscribers, and she has a new start for all of her relatives' birthdays. So like she had a lot of birthdays in January and February for her brothers and her kids and her husband and her sister. I don't know if she has sisters, but everybody in her family, whenever there's a birthday, she does a new start. And I thought, well, that's kind of fun. Could get kind of overwhelming, a little more than probably I want to do, but it was kind of a fun thought. I thought I could at least do starts for my birthday and my husband's birthday, and then maybe next year I'll add in the kids' birthdays, although Julia's birthday is the 14th and mine's the 28th, and that's 2 starts within 2 weeks. I don't know if I can do that. But it's a fun concept, I think. And it's always fun to have a new start. And the nice thing about having starts is, I don't know, for some, I don't enjoy starting so much, but I do love being able to go pick up the project bag and jump right into something. And so if you've got a few starts going, you've got a few options for whatever you feel like stitching that particular day, and it's already started, so that's kind of cool. So, question of the day, do you do a birthday start? Do you do a Christmas start? Do you do a New Year's start? Do you have certain days where that's set aside and you know you're going to start something new? Or do you not do that? I'm just kind of curious. All right, on our next Flosstube, I am going to share some tricks on photographing your needlework. And this comes from my husband. I did ask him if he'd just be on the video with me, and he said no. But we're going to talk about different lighting and different angles and different ways to photograph your needlework well. So I think that'll be kind of fun. And so I'm going to share that. And so I look forward to coming back, and I'm doing these about every month. That's about how often I'm able to do it, just with, all the work at the yarn shop and knitting and all of that stuff too. That works well for me. I usually try to get it up on a Friday or Saturday every 4 weeks. And so again, thank you for watching. It was fun to have you here today. I wish we could visit really in person, but I'm feeling your comments and your love across the camera, and I look forward to seeing you again. In the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.